Keep your mouth shut about what you're building. Stop announcing your plans. Stop sharing your goals. Stop telling people about the dreams you're chasing before you've actually achieved anything. I know this goes against what you've been told. I know everyone says to share your goals for accountability. I know people talk about the power of declaring your intentions to the universe or whatever. But they're wrong. And following that advice is sabotaging your success. Because every time you tell someone about what you're going to do before you've done it, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're making it harder to actually achieve the thing. You're reducing your chances of success. Not because of some mystical energy, not because you're jinxing yourself, but because of how human psychology actually works. When you talk about your goals before achieving them, your brain gets a hit of satisfaction, a reward, a sense of accomplishment from just talking. You haven't done anything yet. You haven't built anything. You haven't achieved anything, but you feel like you have because you got validation, you got attention, you got praise for your intentions. And that premature satisfaction kills your motivation to actually do the work. Studies have proven this. When people announce their goals publicly, they're less likely to achieve them. Not more likely, less likely. Because the announcement gives you a psychological reward that you haven't earned. Your brain can't tell the difference between the satisfaction of announcing a goal and the satisfaction of achieving it. So you get the reward without doing the work. And then you have less drive to actually do the work because you already got what you were really after. The validation, the attention, the feeling of being someone who has big plans. But it's deeper than that. There are multiple reasons why keeping your mouth shut about what you're building is critical to actually building it. Let me break down exactly why silence is power and how talking is sabotage. First, every person you tell becomes a voice in your head. Right now, your biggest battle is internal. It's between the part of you that wants to build something and the part of you that's scared, lazy, doubtful, and comfortable. That internal battle is hard enough. But when you tell people what you're doing, you add their voices to the battle. Some people will be supportive, but their support comes with expectations. Now they're watching. They're waiting to see if you'll actually do it. They're going to ask about it, check on your progress, want updates. And that external pressure doesn't help. It adds stress. It creates performance anxiety. It makes you self-conscious about the messy, uncertain, experimental process of building something new. Other people will be doubtful. They won't say it directly, but you'll hear it, the skepticism in their voice, the doubt in their eyes, the patronizing encouragement that really means good luck with that unrealistic dream. And their doubt plants seeds in your mind. You start questioning yourself, wondering if they're right, second-guessing your decision, fighting their voice along with your own internal doubt. Still, other people will be threatened. Your growth makes them uncomfortable. Your ambition highlights their lack of ambition. Your action makes their excuses look like what they are, excuses. So they'll actively discourage you, find problems with your plan, point out obstacles, remind you of all the reasons it won't work. Not because they want to help, because they want you to stay where you are, where it's safe, where you're not making them look bad by comparison. Every single person you tell becomes a voice in your head, a character in your internal dialogue, a weight you're carrying as you try to build. But when you keep your mouth shut, when you tell no one, you only have to deal with your own voice, your own doubt, your own fear, your own resistance. And that's manageable. That's a battle you can win, because it's just you against you. But you against you plus 15 other people's opinions, expectations, doubts, and insecurities, that's a much harder fight. So keep your mouth shut. Build in silence. Let your work speak when it's ready. Second, talking dissipates energy that should go into action. You have limited energy, limited willpower, limited mental and emotional resources each day. And every conversation about what you're going to do uses some of those resources. The energy to explain your plan, the emotional investment in defending your choice, the mental effort of painting the vision in conversation after conversation. That energy should be going into the actual work, into building the thing, into making progress. But instead, it's being spent on talking about building the thing, on performing the role of someone who's building something, on managing other people's reactions to your plans. I see this all the time. Someone has an idea, they're excited, they tell everyone, they spend hours talking about it, explaining it, defending it, visualizing it in conversation after conversation. And then they sit down to actually work on it and they're exhausted. The excitement is gone. The energy has been dissipated through talking. So they do a little bit of work, get distracted, stop, and eventually abandon the idea altogether. And then they wonder what happened. Where did the motivation go? Why did they lose interest? It's because they talked it to death. They spent all the energy that should have gone into building on talking about building. When you keep your mouth shut, all that energy stays contained. It stays focused. It stays directed at the actual work. You're not spending hours explaining your business idea to friends who aren't going to help you build it anyway. You're spending those hours actually building the business. You're not defending your decision to write a book to family members who don't understand. You're writing the book. You're not painting verbal pictures of the future you're creating. You're taking the actions that create that future. Silence conserves energy. Talking dissipates it. And you need every ounce of energy for the actual work.
You have an idea for a business. It's rough, not fully formed. There are gaps you haven't figured out yet, but you see the potential. You share it with someone. They focus on the gaps, the problems, the things you haven't figured out yet. They judge it based on its current incomplete state, not on its potential. And their judgment makes you doubt the whole thing, makes you question whether it's worth pursuing, makes you see the problems instead of the potential. But if you'd kept your mouth shut, you would have had time to work through those gaps, to figure out the problems, to develop the idea into something more complete before exposing it to judgment. The same thing happens with creative work. You start writing a book. You tell someone about it. They ask to read what you have. You show them a rough first draft. They give feedback. And the feedback, even if well-meaning, kills your momentum because they're judging a rough draft as if it's supposed to be a finished product. And you start seeing your work through their critical eyes instead of through the eyes of someone building something. Or you start a fitness transformation. You tell people, they see you a week in, comment on how you look, ask how it's going, make observations about your progress or lack thereof, and their premature assessment affects your psychology. You become self-conscious. You start judging your early stage progress by final stage standards. You get discouraged because you're not seeing dramatic results yet, and neither is anyone else. But transformation takes time. Ideas need space to develop. Rough drafts need to be rough before they can be refined. When you work in silence, you protect your work from premature judgment. You give it time to develop. You allow yourself to go through the messy, imperfect, uncertain early stages without an audience critiquing every step. And by the time you're ready to share, the work speaks for itself. It's developed, it's refined, it's strong enough to withstand judgment because it's complete. Fourth, silence creates powerful contrast. Imagine two scenarios. Scenario 1, you tell everyone you're starting a business. You update them regularly on your progress. They watch you struggle. They see every setback. They witness every failure. They hear about every problem. And then, after a year of struggle they've witnessed, you finally achieve moderate success. They're happy for you, but the impact is muted because they saw the whole process. They know how hard it was. They watched you almost quit multiple times. Scenario 2, you tell no one. You work in complete silence. You struggle, you have setbacks, you face problems, but no one knows, no one sees it. And then, after a year of silent work, you emerge with a successful business. You reveal what you've built, and the impact is massive. The contrast is shocking. They knew you was one thing. Now you're something completely different. The transformation is undeniable because they only see the before and the after, not the messy middle. Which scenario creates more power? Which creates more respect? Which makes more impact? The second one, always the second one. because humans respond to contrast. We're impressed by transformation. We're moved by dramatic before and after stories. But when we see the whole process, when we witness every struggle, the transformation loses its power. It becomes gradual, expected, normal. Silence creates contrast. It allows you to disappear into your work and emerge transformed. It creates a reveal that has impact, power, respect. Working publicly creates gradual visibility. People watch you struggle, and struggle isn't impressive. Results are impressive, but they only see the results as impressive if they didn't watch you barely achieve them. So work in silence. Let the contrast speak. Let the transformation be undeniable, because no one watched you build it piece by piece. Fifth, keeping quiet protects you from dream killers. Not everyone wants you to succeed. I know that's hard to accept, but it's true. Some people, even people close to you, have a psychological investment in you staying where you are. Your growth threatens them. Your success makes them uncomfortable. Your transformation highlights their lack of transformation. So they become dream killers, sometimes consciously, more often unconsciously. They point out obstacles. They remind you of past failures. They share stories of other people who tried and failed. They ask questions designed to make you doubt. Are you sure about this? Do you really think you can do that? Isn't that risky? They're not trying to help. They're trying to keep you small, because your smallness makes them comfortable. And if you've told them what you're building, they have access to your dream. They can attack it. They can plant doubt. They can slowly erode your confidence with their subtle discouragement. But if you keep your mouth shut, they can't touch it. Your dream is protected. They don't know what you're building, so they can't tear it down. You work in silence. You build in private. And by the time they realize what you've done, it's too late for them to discourage you. The thing is built. The success is achieved. The transformation is complete. You've removed their ability to interfere, and that protection is invaluable. Sixth, silence tests your real commitment. Here's a truth most people don't want to face. If you need to talk about your goal to stay motivated, you're not actually committed to the goal. You're committed to the identity of being someone with big plans, but you're not committed to the actual work. Real commitment doesn't need external validation. It doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need people to know what you're doing. Real commitment is internal. It's between you and yourself. It's about proving to yourself that you can do it, not proving to others. When you work in silence, you discover whether you're really committed, whether you'll keep going when no one's watching, whether you'll push through when there's no one to impress, whether you'll continue when there's no external accountability or encouragement. And if you can't work without an audience, if you can't build without external validation, that's valuable information, because it means your motivation is coming from the wrong place.
You need to develop internal drive, internal commitment, internal motivation that doesn't depend on other people knowing what you're doing. And silence forces you to develop that. It strips away all external motivation and leaves you with only internal motivation. That's uncomfortable. That's hard, but it's necessary, because external motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes based on other people's reactions. But internal motivation, that's sustainable. That's powerful. That's what actually gets things done. So keep your mouth shut, work in silence, and discover whether you're really committed or just performing commitment. Seventh, your results speak louder than your intentions ever could. No one cares about what you're planning to do. No one is impressed by your goals. No one respects your intentions. People care about results. They're impressed by achievements. They respect what you've actually done. So why waste time talking about what you're going to do? Why invest energy in getting people excited about your plans? Do the work, build the thing, achieve the goal, and then let your results speak. When you've built a successful business, you don't need to tell people you're an entrepreneur. They can see it. When you've transformed your body, you don't need to announce you're on a fitness journey. They can see it. When you've written a book, you don't need to tell people you're a writer. They can read it. Results speak. Results prove. Results command respect. But intentions? Intentions are worthless. Everyone has intentions. Everyone has plans. Everyone has goals they talk about. The difference between people who succeed and people who don't isn't in their intentions. It's in their execution, in their follow-through, in their results. So be someone who produces results, not someone who announces intentions. Work in silence. Build in private. Let your results speak when they're ready to speak. Now let me give you the practical framework for working in complete silence. Rule 1. Tell absolutely no one. Not your close friends, not your family, not your partner, not your mentor, no one. I know this feels extreme, but it's necessary because even well-meaning people will interfere. They'll ask questions, they'll want updates, they'll give advice you didn't ask for, and every interaction becomes an energy drain, a distraction, a pull away from the work. So you tell no one. You keep it completely private. You work in total silence. If people ask what you're up to, you're vague. Just working on some projects, keeping busy, focusing on personal growth. You don't elaborate, you don't explain, you keep it general. And you redirect conversation away from what you're building. You ask about them, you change the subject, you maintain the silence. Rule 2. Document privately. You can't share your progress publicly, but you should track it privately. Keep a private journal. Document what you're doing. Record your progress. Capture lessons learned. This serves multiple purposes. First, it gives you an outlet. The urge to share your progress doesn't disappear just because you've committed to silence, so you channel that urge into private documentation instead of public sharing. Second, it creates a record. When you've achieved your goal, you'll have a complete account of the journey. That's valuable for your own reflection and potentially for helping others later. Third, it keeps you accountable to yourself. When you write down what you're doing, you create internal accountability even without external accountability. Document everything. Just keep it completely private. Rule 3. Anticipate the discomfort. Working in silence is uncomfortable. Humans are social creatures. We want to share. We want to connect. We want validation. Going silent about something important to you will create discomfort. You'll feel the urge to tell someone. The pressure to share will build. Anticipate this. Know it's coming. Prepare for it. When the urge hits, remind yourself why you're working in silence. Remember that silence protects your energy, your focus, your dream. The discomfort is temporary. The benefits of silence are permanent. So push through the discomfort, resist the urge, maintain the silence. Rule 4. Redirect recognition hunger. Part of why we announce our goals is because we're hungry for recognition, for validation, for feeling important or impressive. That hunger doesn't disappear when you commit to silence, so you need to redirect it. Redirect it towards self-recognition, towards internal validation, towards proving things to yourself instead of to others. Make the work itself the reward. Make progress the validation. Make small wins the recognition you're seeking. This is harder than external recognition, but it's also more sustainable and more powerful. Learn to be impressed with yourself. Learn to validate yourself. Learn to recognize your own progress without needing others to acknowledge it. Rule 5. Plan your reveal. You're not staying silent forever. You're staying silent until the work is done, until you have results worth sharing. So plan when you'll break the silence. What needs to be true for you to share? Maybe it's when the business is profitable. Maybe it's when the book is published. Maybe it's when the transformation is complete. Maybe it's when you've hit a specific milestone. Whatever it is, define it clearly. Know when you'll break the silence. And until that moment comes, you stay silent. You keep working. You keep building. But knowing there's an end to the silence makes it easier to maintain. You're not committing to silence forever, just until you've built something worth revealing. Now, let me tell you what happens when you actually work in complete silence for an extended period. The first few weeks are the hardest. The urge to share is strong. You want to tell someone, anyone, about what you're building.
but you resist, you stay silent, and something starts to shift. Your focus intensifies. Without the distraction of managing other people's reactions, you can pour all your energy into the work. Your progress accelerates. You're not wasting time explaining and defending. You're just executing. Your confidence builds because you're keeping promises to yourself. You're proving you can work without external validation. After a few months, the silence becomes natural. You stop thinking about sharing. You stop caring what people think. You're just immersed in the work.
And the work gets better, stronger, more refined, because it's developing without interference, without premature judgment, without the distortion of other people's input. Then comes the reveal, the moment when you've achieved what you set out to achieve, when you have results worth sharing. And the impact is powerful. People are shocked. They didn't see it coming. They didn't know you were building this. The transformation is undeniable. The results speak for themselves. The respect you receive is earned, not anticipated. And here's what's interesting. The respect you get for results achieved in silence is deeper than respect for publicly announced goals. Because anyone can announce goals, but actually achieving them without fanfare, that commands real respect. It shows discipline, focus, internal motivation, real commitment. People recognize that you're different, that you're not all talk, that you're someone who actually does things instead of just talking about doing things. So here's what I want you to do. Identify the most important thing you're working toward right now, the goal that matters most, the dream that's calling you, and decide today, I'm going to work on this in complete silence. No announcements, no updates, no progress reports, no conversations about it. Just silent, focused work until I have results worth revealing. Tell no one. Document privately. Stay in silence until the work is done, and then let your results speak. Don't tell anyone your dreams. Show them your results. That's how you build real power. That's how you create real transformation. That's how you become someone who doesn't just talk about doing things, someone who actually does them. Work in silence. Build in private. Let success make the noise. Your dreams don't need an announcement. They need execution. So stop talking and start building.